Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Be sure to download our app. These are ways that you can stay engaged and help to strengthen our collective Black voice. Yes, and for that we say thank you so much, family. I want to discuss the beautiful Sahelian country nation of Mali. Of course, they, like their fellow Sahelian family, that being Burkina Faso and Niger, among others, but specifically those two, have been under nonstop, relentless interference by foreign actors, foreign officials, foreign spies, foreign operatives on the behalf of foreign nations, white, Western, typically foreign nations that are hell-bent on destabilizing and extracting resources, all kinds of resources, human resources, political resources, economic resources, energy resources, geopolitical resources from that country. And the reason they're under attack is not only because of the strategic positioning and the resources they provide, it is because they absolutely refuse to serve French interest, among others. Yes? So many of you, perhaps in the diaspora, have heard about the recent coup attempt that was foiled by the illustrious government of Mali. Yes? Well, President Assimi Goïta has really been doing an excellent job in not only working for the sovereignty and the development of his country, but in pushing back against, in this instance, we're specifically talking about French interests. Now, even though they kicked out the French soldiers, even though they made it very, very, very clear to get out, and they had this big tug of war over the past couple of plus years since he's been in power, France just refuses to stop. Now, mainstream white media, and some of them that come out of even some of the Indian countries like First Post, and in this instance, I want you to see this brief clip from Al Jazeera to give you a little heads up on how they're covering this. Watch this.
Stripped of their uniforms, these dismissed Malian officers stand accused of trying to unseat the military government they once served. Their mugshots aired on national television for the public to judge.
I am truly astonished and very unhappy. Mali does not need this kind of situation. We have a common enemy, and it is terrorism.
Watching this has really undermined the morale of many ordinary Malians. I am one of them. Seeing our valiant Malian army officers presented like that was truly painful to me.
Among them, a popular general who commanded troops in the troubled Mopti region, the highest-ranked woman general who oversaw small arms and ammunition, a former colonel of the National Guard, and a French citizen whom the junta maintains is an intelligence agent. The security minister described them as marginal individuals bent on destabilizing the country.
These military personnel and civilians had no other ambitions than to seek, with the help of foreign states, to disrupt the momentum of Mali's rebuilding.
Tension has been rising in recent months. Junta leader Assimi Goïta has dissolved all political parties, jailed leading civil society figures, including 2 former prime ministers, and given himself another 5 years in office, renewable indefinitely. This despite early promises of a return to civilian rule by March 2024.
The military's pretext is to ensure the security of the nation, but this is really about internal tensions, a split within the ranks. You could even call it a decapitation of the army. It's clear that this will leave the junta vulnerable, and yes, there's a sense of nervousness in the air.
On Thursday, Mali's defense minister was in Moscow, along with the defense ministers of Burkina Faso and Niger. The 3 countries are seeking deeper security ties with Russia. They say it's to protect people in the Sahel from armed groups, but the more pressing threat to Mali's junta appears to be from within.
Now, notice in that footage who they're emphasizing. They're emphasizing all of the very black faces, right, in the Malayan government. But who's missing? Is there a cover-up? Well, who's missing in the emphasis, in my opinion? that's missing in this particular situation is this young Christian Bernard Basilier. Did I say that right, family? This girl from Mississippi. If I missed it, my French African family don't hold it against me. Talk black to me, somebody. I tried. And besides, if I mispronounce his name, he all right. He deserves it as an enemy. Now, this young Christian Bernard Basilier dude, my understanding is he served at least 3 decades in some sort of French capacity in the military. I believe he ended up rising to the high rank of lieutenant colonel. I believe he received one of the top or the second top decorative awards for France, and I think some more credentials he has. Now, I'm disgusted by this because what is this dirty little snake, this little rat doing? Now, I don't even want to use the word snake. Snakes are wonderful, to be honest. We just misuse it. What is this rat doing over there in France? And why is it that there's not more emphasis on him in mainstream media and not just putting out all the black faces? Now, of course, we're quite disgusted by the fact that so many of what appears to be the country men and women of Mali that participated in this. That's shameful. And I think as you heard in the clip, one of the Malayan citizens said about how the morale is way down because they were shocked and surprised and disappointed that their fellow countrymen and women were involved in this. Yes. But I want you to keep something in mind before I make my other comments. Watch this other brief clip that came from Africa Reloaded, which I believe gives a little bit more context than some of the other stuff that I've been hearing, if this part is accurate. Watch this.
These soldiers and civilians had allegedly obtained the support of foreign powers. The French connection was explicit. A French national, identified as Jan Christian Bernard Vézilier, was arrested on suspicion of acting on behalf of French intelligence. For Mali, this revelation was more than just a foiled coup. It was a stark reminder of external interference, a demonstration of how foreign powers still try to pull strings in the Sahel. And for the world watching, the question lingers. How deep does this involvement go, and what does it mean for the fragile stability of the region? But who exactly is this French operative caught in the middle of Mali's political storm? His name, Jan Christian Bernard Vézilier. What we know is already remarkable. Vézilier served nearly 3 decades in France's Air Force, rising to the rank of lieutenant colonel. In 2020, he was awarded the National Order of Merit, France's second highest distinction, recognized officially in the French government's records.
Okay, family. Now, this is important. Now, one of the things this piece makes available, and this was a little lengthy segment, 20-minute segment for a news segment, but I, of course, shortened it for obvious reasons. But the thing that we highlight here is that the news broke. It says they foiled a coup on August 7th. Apparently, some of this started August 1st, but it was foiled August 7th. And the first reports streaming online were simple and incomplete, which of course I definitely believe. And they claimed that the plot was orchestrated entirely by a group of Malayan soldiers. Over 24 individuals, including 2 of Mali's top generals, had been arrested for the alleged involvement. But details were scarce. Official reports from the Malayan government were yet to be released, leaving the world to speculate, right? That's what we know was going on. But it says on the 15th of August, the Mali's military authorities finally broke silence. And that was their security minister. I believe I put his name to the side separately here. Yes, that's right. The security minister, Mr. Mohammadine, Malayan security minister. He was the one that gave the announcement about some of the details about how this coup plot was foiled. Yes. Now back to this article. I want to bring this to our attention, dear family, because I'm going to emphasize what I've been emphasizing before whenever I cover international news, is that our open enemy won't stop. And they don't understand kumbaya or diplomacy like most members of the global South understand it. They believe in bloodshed, bullets, and money. That's their language. So I'm saying this because we have to understand the nature of an enemy. How many of you all know that nobody sits up to try to negotiate with a lion, a tiger, or a bear? When you understand the nature of the lion and the tiger, the bear, you understand I got to keep my distance. You got to be in the jungle. You got to be outside. And I've got to treat you according to your nature. Now, when our open enemy shows us who they are over the past centuries, and in some instances, I dare say millennia, we've got to treat them accordingly, not as we wish they would be, family, but as they are. And when we understand that nature, that means that we also have to be unrelenting, and we cannot afford to allow ourselves to grow weary in well-doing. And we have got to decide to continue to put a strong emphasis on security and protection, offense and defense. And let me say this, I'm a spiritualist. I also believe in the extraordinary power of ancient Black spiritual systems that have to be at work. Our ancestors showed us over and over again, when they reached what we call golden ages, the height of civilization in every area of people activity, in every sphere, it was always the norm, no matter what the spiritual system was, for them to consult the divine in one way or another. We've got to make sure that we're integrating that in our politics, because it is not enough just to use weapons. It is not enough to just be smart in your own eyes and to use logic. They're coming up with all kinds of technology. They have spies and all kinds of stuff to try to stay 10 steps ahead of you and to outthink you. But if you got a spiritual, superior technology, if you got an unseen government, an unseen army that's got your back, and you work that with the scene that comes on the scene, I just said something right there. Baby, you have got a trinity of power that's out of this world. If you want to know a little bit more about that as it relates to me, Vicki Dillard, beloved, you can tap in my spiritual school. Go to VickiPlanet.com to learn more about that. But in the meantime, be sure to share this broadcast. Again, check out my website and all the wonderful products and services that I offer at VickiPlanet.com for my family here in the United States and, of course, around the world. Be sure to comment and to share below. You know I'm going to be doing follow-ups on this.